Hello, everyone. Welcome to our disco session called the AI First Academy, Rethinking Scale, Personalization, and Human Impact. I'm Candice Faktor, co-founder and co-CEO of Disco, the AI First learning platform built to run and scale modern academies. And I am so excited to be hosting the wonderful Siya. Siya, I want to make sure I pronounce your last name correctly. Purohit?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Sia, it is such an honor to have you here. I'm not sure if you know, there are 400 people who are tuning in to this session. So we must be talking about something very, very relevant and interesting. And it is a true honor to have you here. For those of you who don't know Sia, Sia is a leader in education, AI, and venture capital. Sia is OpenAI's education go-to-market lead, and she's really focused on helping schools and academies integrate AI. What I love about Sia is she's had so many different roles in this tech ecosystem focusing on education. She is a general partner at Pathway Ventures. So she's seeing all these interesting ways of how AI is being applied in education and work. She's also held roles at AWS, Udacity, and GSV Ventures. And what I was just telling Sia is GSV is actually our Series A lead investor. So very small world. And she is here to tell us how we should be thinking about AI in our academies. So Sia, you have had this front row seat at the evolution of learning. What was the moment that made you realize that AI would completely change the way we teach and learn?
Thank you so much, Candice, for having me. And thank you all for joining today on this Friday afternoon. I'm really excited to be chatting about how OpenAI is thinking about education and like all the different work that we're doing. So the moment when I realized what kind of impact it would have on education is very early in ChatGPT's launch. So I've been working in education for 12 years, and for a long time, our goal as a sector was to get to personalized tutoring. We used to say if we can provide like personalized mentorship and like learning for individuals, we have
Mhm.
made it as a sector. And when I first started using ChatGPT, I realized that ChatGPT was it. It was like the personalized tutor. And I became a power user about 11 months ago. And now ChatGPT and I have conversations all day long. It knows all my projects, it knows my aspirations, it knows the personality of my managers. It like helps me become a better knowledge worker. And I think that is really powerful because if we get this in the hands of all students and knowledge workers, they'll all become much more productive and hopefully achieve their goals more easily.
I love that. Well, Sia, I wonder if ChatGPT knows that both of us are sick right now, which is how we wanted to start this conversation, is saying we care so much about this topic that both of us have cough syrup and lozenges in our throats because we wanted to be here so much to just have this conversation with all of you. And so on that note, what I want to say is we want this to be participatory. At Disco, we truly believe that the best way we learn is together. And we want to hear from you as an audience around the questions you have. So please feel free to share questions in the chat. And we feel very similarly at Disco. We have seen the learning model and academy model evolve rapidly over the past few years. In fact, we know what an extraordinary undertaking it is to run schools and to run academies, especially ones that are peer-based and project-based. And now AI is not only changing the learner experience, like you were just talking about, but it's really changing the operator experience. What do you think is the biggest opportunity for academy operators when it comes to AI?
And by academy operators, you're referring to more on the instructor side versus the operations side. Is that correct?
Both, right?
But yeah, amazing. So it's really transforming how content, how like the teaching and learning experience is delivered for students, but also how like staff runs the operations in the back end.
Exactly.
So one of the most powerful things I heard was at the University of Maryland, an admin who does a lot of the back end like event planning and work. says that their fulfillment in their job is at an all-time high because of ChatGPT. And that's really powerful because they're able to use ChatGPT to do a lot of the back-end work that they didn't find glamorous or that they didn't enjoy as much or get energy from. So then they could focus on the things that mattered to them, which was like hosting events, connecting with the students, faculty, and staff more directly. So I think that's a huge shift on the admin side. We're thinking about how we can create more content at scale to help individuals just start picking up ChatGPT to help take care of repetitive tasks, lesson planning, grading, those kind of things, so they can focus on the human elements of the work that they like. And the same is true for educators. Like we're seeing so much happen in the classroom in terms of professors creating solutions like lecture recall to help
Mhm.
students engage with their content more deeply, or campus touch points of AI to help students engage more deeply with the knowledge of the university. And I think that how we're conversing with knowledge is just changing so fundamentally. And that's a very exciting shift for operators designing these campuses.
I love that you brought that up because I fundamentally believe we are changing the way we interact with each other and the way we interact with knowledge. Can you double click on what you mean by the way we interact with knowledge?
Every university campus or every academic institution has so much inherent knowledge built in. So, everything from when you come to orientation and you get all these preterm documents, through when you go to classes and engage with a semester's worth of material, there's so much information to consume. And ChatGPT lets you consume that in a very different, deeper, more conversational way than ever before. So now the ways that we're seeing students engage with that is that they come to orientation and they have a custom GPT where they can ask questions like, how do I change my roommate? Or where's the best pizza place on campus? And just navigate the complexities of joining a new campus more easily. Then they'll go into classrooms where they can ask questions like in a business case class that at Harvard Business School, the professor says students ask questions like, which CEO handle layoffs well? Or like, how should I think about where the statistics term is actually applicable in real life in the career I want to build?
Mhm.
So you're able to get to the level of depth that is most interesting to you, and you're able to converse with that, and ChatGPT can remember these conversations to help guide you towards your own aspirations of whatever you want at the end of that degree program.
Yeah, what I'm really hearing you say and what we fundamentally believe at Disco is you are able now to be interactive with knowledge, right? It's no longer a one-way, conversation, or it wasn't a conversation before, a one-way broadcast. And,
Right.
that's what we're really, really seeing is sort of this evolution. Like, yes, we have the ability to learn together, but now we have the ability to learn with the knowledge itself together. And that's a really, really big shift that we're seeing. So I know you speak to, you know, a different learning leader, training leader, education leader every day, most probably multiple of them. What would you say was one of the most game changing ways that you saw AI being embedded into a learning program that, let's even say, 24 months ago would have seemed actually impossible?
One of my favorite stories on this, it comes from like a curriculum redesign that a professor went through. So across the world right now, a lot of educators are thinking about like what should you actually assess in assignments? Like what
Mhm.
does like learner outcomes even look like in the age of AI? And a really interesting example of this comes from Wharton professor Stefano Pontoni.
Mhm.
He talked about what is the value of an essay. So, just for context, he's been teaching in the MBA program for a while, and essay was always the final submission for his class. So, he says, what is the value of an essay? The value of an essay is not necessarily in its output, but in the critical thinking and communication skills that lead to that output. So now he requires his students use ChatGPT, EDU, and he actually measures the number of prompts it takes students to get to an essay that they're satisfied with. Some students are so good at prompt engineering that it takes like 2 or 3 prompts and they have a really good essay. And some students go back 19 or 20 times to get to an essay that they're satisfied with. And this is super interesting because he sees this as a measure of an individual's ability to clearly articulate what they're looking for, which is going to be a very important skill in the future. When we can use AI to kind of orchestrate to get to those outcomes, we need to have a really good sense of what that outcome can look like and how to orchestrate that to get to AI, like get to that output. So finding this kind of shift really interesting. And we're seeing this happen across all of the major fields of study. And I think that shift is just phenomenal.
So what I'm hearing you say, which I completely agree with, is instead of, avoiding using these tools, it's actually evaluating learners on how they can use these tools. And, there's a lot of critical thinking and creativity that goes into prompt engineering. And so that's actually the measure of success in the future, as opposed to, some of the skills that were LLMs. Now,
I think it's an interim thing, Candice. Like, I think that AI will get smarter, so the prompts will have
mhm,
to be less detailed, but your ability to still visualize what you want as the output is going to be
absolutely.
key.
I think that's absolutely right. Now, because we have so many amazing academy operators, learning program operators on this call, when you think about it, if we just broke down learning pedagogy and learning design, operations management, personalization, assessments, and scaling an academy, if you were to prioritize those, how would you say academy operators should be thinking about using AI right now? Like, where should they be applying their focus? Because in many ways, it's very hard to do everything all at once. What do you think is most valuable for operators to focus on?
I think now we finally have the resources to provide like a personalized learning journey for all
Mhm.
users. And it's actually very easy to set up now. And so my recommendation would be to start there. Use that as like the underlying experience for the people engaging in the programs. Have like a clear conversation or sense of outcomes early with the users. Like it's really cool if someone can imagine like in a year or two, who do you want to be? And be able to tell the AI solution that, and then have AI work backwards into what you need to be learning on a daily or weekly basis. One of my favorite conversations with ChatGPT actually was about this. I'm like, this is my aspiration goal like 10 years from now. And what should I be doing? Can you create a 2-year roadmap for me? And I was amazed by the level of depth that that roadmap contained. ChatGPT talked about organizations I should be part of that I didn't know about, or the types of content I should create that I wasn't thinking about. So, including embedding that kind of platform initially matters a lot.
Mhm.
And then streamlining any of the operations work that they need in order to spend more time directly with the students.
I love that. I mean, I know at Disco, we're introducing our learner facing AI, and it's for that very purpose, is so that you can have a personalized experience. So you can have that interactivity for your students to be able to get what they want and what they need in order to achieve their goal. But the real big focus, what we've seen is just the massive time and resource savings that you can actually get. Like, I love what you said when that person's enjoying their job more, because a lot of people
Mhm.
go into education and go into building academies because they want to be with students and come up with creative curriculum. And now they actually can do that. And even on curriculum, the ability to do all the manual pieces of creating it into lessons and doing assessments and figuring out quizzing, like so much of that can now be done with AI, that it really is revolutionary.
I'm really hopeful that it's going to curb the teacher burnout problem that we have. Like,
Absolutely.
we need to free up teachers from all the kind of back end work that they do.
I completely agree. And so that brings me to the next era. Everybody says 2025. We're in the rise of AI powered agents. That's all anybody talks about, as you and I know. And I know that you recently launched Operator at OpenAI. Tell us how you see this fitting into the learning ecosystem.
I'm really excited about Operator and basically our agentic future as a whole. I think right now, the first use cases we're seeing from Operator being demoed are just like assistant level jobs, right? So,
Mhm.
like in the main demo, they showed that you can make restaurant bookings, that you can order things online more easily. But I think the level of sophistication is going to grow. And in education, we'll be able to get to the point when you have like five different agents doing different elements of like research work, compiling,
Mhm.
content creation, editing, publishing, or like in like the different types of academic work we do in outreach or like validation of content. So I'm really excited about all of us shifting from being like knowledge workers who use this product to being orchestrators of AI this year.
Mhm.
And I think for educators, they'd be able to have these agents to multiple different parts of their like work more easily. So they can have like reviewing like different types of material that goes into their classroom, figuring out different ways, like having operator create different variations of that for their students with different types of learning needs, and being able to deliver and assess those outcomes more easily. So really excited to see how teaching and learning is impacted when a professor now has like five or six arms that they can use to create new material.
I love that. I mean, I just think about like small but mighty teams now, right? It's like you
Yeah.
actually can have a team of agents who are purpose built for the very specific tasks that you are trying to achieve, right? And as we know, learning and really creating transformative learning programs requires a variety of skill sets. Like you really have to be good at teaching, building great learning design, coming up with great projects, making sure your peers are having meaningful discussions, and operating learning programs that involve people are really, really complex. And so I agree
Yeah.
with you. I think these AI agents are going to be purpose built and going to help significantly with very specific tasks. So let's talk a little bit about some of the biggest mistakes you see. So I'm sure you see all kinds of things. What would you say are the biggest mistakes educators and academy operators are making when implementing AI?
So the very first one is actually surprising. A lot of people are feeling so overwhelmed by the AI space that they're like, we can't just keep up with this. They just kind of avoid using AI. And I want to make it clear that not all of us have to become experts in a sector, where it's going, what the future of it looks like, or even the technology behind it. But we need to learn how to use AI to help make our lives easier. So, like, how do we become better professionals, or how do we use it in our personal life? There's so many pain points it can help solve. But I think the very first piece is to just free ourselves from becoming experts. There's like Ethan Mollick and other influencers out there who are going to stay up to date. And like, that's amazing for them.
Mhm.
Not all of us have to aspire for that.
Right.
So I think the first one is just free yourself. The second one is to just start small. So start seeing how it can help you as an individual become more productive, helping you write emails, helping you draft different types of documents you're building. Like start small there. Then work up to the team or organization level. So then you start working with your colleagues, see if you can build solutions together that help make your departments more efficient. Like a school district told me that they have 40 people who spend several weeks to assign which class goes into which room on their campus.
Right.
And now AI can do that in a few minutes and very dynamically and easily change that over time. So these kind of like team level jobs, like start working on together. And then think about that organizational level. Like, how can you have so many different AI touch points that make your company stronger and more efficient?
What you say is so true. Like, I think some people are so overwhelmed that they just, like the ostrich who sticks their head in the sand and hopes the future goes away. Like that isn't gonna really happen. But I love what you're saying, which is start small and then start, incorporating it into your daily life and then your teamwork. And, one of the things at Disco, like we want to make it super easy that, we just make it easy for you to have all the operational tools that leverage OpenAI at your fingertips for all the pieces you need to build an academy. And the other part is even as a company, as somebody who's running, high growth startup, what we've told our team is think AI first. Like, as opposed to like in all the tasks you're doing, how do I try achieve this and then edit and modify as opposed to, ignore? Because I do think that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to improve how we work and how we learn. So let's move to the future. Like, obviously, we're talking a lot about the future, but also what we're doing now. How far away are we from a fully AI powered academy? At Distor, our goal is to be able to put your academy on autopilot. And what do you think? Like, how far away is it that an entire learning program, an entire academy can be run using AI?
I think we're actually very close. There are a couple of universities that are already pushing the bounds like towards what we call an AI native institution. And how we're currently defining that is a campus that has multiple AI touch points across that lets community members engage with the knowledge of every part of that department more easily and deeply. So there's some campuses that have over 1,000 custom GPTs already built out that students are basically seamlessly moving through as they go through that journey. So the technology infrastructure exists. In the past year, we have made huge strides in adoption in AI and literacy in education. And I think that we're getting to the mainstream moment in education where this is just going to become much more prevalent. Our students feel already much more comfortable using AI. And by our students, I mean around the world. People like students were very early adopters of this and drive a lot of that usage on ChatGPT. And then I feel like educators have become a lot warmer about this in the past year as well, when they're rethinking their curriculum, how they deliver content. And so I think that this shift is happening at this point, and now it's just about we need more smart people to very deeply think about how to enhance experiences with AI and how this can be a whole platform shift for a lot of different types of learners.
I really love that. And, we've talked a little bit about what role humans play in the operations, right? Like you're sort of very astutely said, humans should do the higher order work, right? But let's talk about humans in the learning experience. Like, what role do you think humans play in learning? Do you think it's important that people learn together and with other people? Do you think it's important that there's shared knowledge, peer-driven learning, project-based learning? What's your take on, how people learn best?
And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But when I think back to my education journey, the educators that I remember most fondly are I remember them for who they were and how they made me feel and
Mhm,
who they told me I could become.
mhm,
Like these things are things that are inherently human because that relationship you build, the kind of stories you hear from your educators and how they were in the 60s and 70s and all of those things, like they're really cool and like bonding experiences.
mhm.
And I think that's what I'd love to see more human educators be able to double down on. Because the way that they make the student feel, the way that they're able to see a student's skills and personality traits that maybe even the student can't articulate to an AI yet is really powerful. And I'd love for that to continue. So, like, educators can continue to inspire and mentor students
Mhm.
and hopefully spend more time with them now that AI can take care of some of the other back end work for them.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, my take is we believe that people learn better together. So, yes, it is so important that you can learn with knowledge and you can have a relationship with knowledge, which AI is really helping us do. But people learn best through shared experiences, through hearing, me, like even this conversation, hearing us talk about our experiences together is helping a lot of people on this call. Doing projects together where you're actually in the doing and you're, working with people to achieve something. Learning is an inherently social behavior. And so I agree with you. I think there's absolutely a role for educators and there's a role for people to learn together. And what I'm interested in is how do you foresee AI helping people learn better together? Like, what do you think AI can do that is really hard to do today because it just would take too much manpower when it comes to learning together?
An interesting example of this, embedding AI and the social elements, comes from a business school, which where they have included AI as the sixth project teammate for a group project, and they've made sure that that AI, like custom GPT, has a very specific personality and limited knowledge. And now the five like human teammates have to work with this sixth teammate to solve different challenges together
Mhm.
knowing that this personality is selected by the professor to give them additional challenges. which I think is super interesting because now like AI can help the scenario-based learning and the role playing in a way that provides like is support for instructors without them being too hands-on also. So
Exactly.
I think that's super interesting, like embedding AI to help with the social constructs and helping teams work together more by having this distinctive personality. But when I think more broadly about education, my current belief is that students will be grouped together by their social skills or like maybe their age levels and maturity in social dimensions, but on the learning front, be able to learn at the speed that they're learning at
Mhm.
and the areas that are interesting to them. So I believe in the future, like you'll be able to move as quickly as you want in fields that you're good at. You'll get support in the fields you're not at, but you'll have other companions in that journey who are around the same age and social level as you.
That's really, really interesting. I know we are shortly running out of time, so I'm going to move to a couple questions, and then I have one or two more questions from me if we still can take them. But thank you, Michelle from Moxie Institute. Michelle asked, "What are the best resources for those of us to research AI in the L&D space so we can start small?" Anything that you would recommend, Michelle, take a look at?
Yeah, a company called Degreed is building a lot of AI and L&D resources. The
Mhm.
following Degreed's page would be really helpful. On the OpenAI front, we launched a LinkedIn page called OpenAI for Education, and L&D resources is one of those categories too. So we'll be publishing a lot more content there too.
I love that. I'll just add, EdTech Insiders is another really great one. They've published a lot about the different L&D tools, including Disco. Is listed there in terms of what we're doing, but much more broadly for every specific area for L&D, they have a phenomenal set of resources. And Lillian asks, community building involves facilitation, empathy, mentorship. Can AI do this now, or how do you think about this?
Such a good question. So the empathy part, not yet, but the other pieces it can definitely help streamline. So when you think about adding the different types of users, helping maintain different communication touch points with them, helping them identify other members in the community that they should connect with based on their interests or profile, these are things that AI would really excel at. So being able to like use this as a complement to the kind of work that you're already doing on the ground, like I think like super connectors have this amazing idea of who should meet who. And I think they're the exceptional ones at it. But AI can help make some of those recommendations for you. That
Exactly.
and then as the super connector, you decide whether you think it's right.
I love that. I mean, I know, I think a big part of it is who you should learn with. Like even your comment around different people progress at different levels, and you need different people along your learning journey. Being a connector as AI feels like a very, very good use of its capabilities. So I love what you said there. I have the last very provocative question, which is, there's a lot of talk of AI agents replacing humans in the world of work. In fact, Y Combinator's entire thesis this year is for agents to replace humans in the world of work. What's your view on the mix of humans versus agents that's going to be required in the future world of work? And what's your take on the role of AI agents to upskill humans versus to replace work?
Oh, super interesting question. So a couple of things to unpack. Yes, a lot of different types of work will be done by AI agents. But this is true of a lot of different types of platform shifts we've seen in the past, when like different types of manual work got replaced by automated things. And honestly, it made our world much better overall because we started doing things that we liked more and more as a society. And so I think the same shift is happening. What I really recommend people focus on as far as like the human jobs are things that require like the ability to like inspire, like work with people, lead teams, like create new products, like bring them, like do partnerships, sales, these kind of things that require very human elements to them. Double down on that, like build out your ability to use your personality as one of the accelerators of your career growth would be my recommendation there. And I don't think it's a bad world when like AI agents and humans work together Because, I mean, if we do this correctly, we could hopefully solve things like diseases much more quickly. We can parse through these large amounts of data, play out the variations, like come up with these answers more easily that will hopefully make the society better. So, my recommendations are number one, please use AI, whichever models that you're comfortable with. Just start using it to help improve your daily lives. The second is to think about who you want to become. How can you learn to get there, like using AI and not? Like how can you become better at that? And then the third is to be able to double down on some of these human skills because we are going to need exceptional mentors, coaches, and educators forever. And I think that it's very valuable if you can fill those gaps.
What wonderful, wise words. And I would say, to wrap this up, if we're having this conversation next time, this time next year, what what do you think will have changed the most in AI driven learning?
I think we're going to see a lot more wider adoption by this time next year. Of course, technology will keep getting better and more sophisticated and nuanced than it has. Like every model keeps getting better at that. It's going to probably get much better at the reasoning capabilities and those things. But I think what I'm hoping for is that more people feel comfortable using AI as part of their daily experiences. They feel more fulfilled in their jobs because of it. And hopefully they just are able to produce a lot more output. Like when I was 18 and published a book, it took me like 6 to 8 months just to get through the different drafts and writing things.
Sure.
And now I think how different that journey would have been had I had this AI companion. So I hope that people can just produce a lot more of the creative work that they want to because now they have the super intelligence to help support them.
What a great way to end this wonderful conversation. Sia, this has been fantastic. I think the work you're doing is phenomenal. We're so aligned in wanting to help educators and academy operators really build the academies of the future and the learning experiences of the future that are truly transformational. So, a massive thanks for partnering on this conversation and really bringing all these wise words of wisdom. And for anybody who wants to continue following the work that you're doing, how should they do that?
LinkedIn is the best way. So reach out and follow along on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for joining. At Dispo, we're super passionate about an AI first future for learning and really making everybody's job that much easier to deliver that much more transformational a learning experience. So thank you all for joining us. And thank you so much, Sia. What wonderful words of wisdom you had to share.
Thanks so much.